Before my grandfather passed away, he arranged a marriage for me. He said the girl was a hostage I rescued during a mission years ago. She was a great match in every respect, not only beautiful but also the daughter of the city's wealthiest man. To fulfill my grandfather's last wish as soon as possible, my commanding officer arranged for a private jet to fly me home overnight. I arrived in my fiancée's city, weary from my travels and holding the marriage contract, only to be stopped by a security guard at the gate. Where did this beggar crawl out from? You think the Montgomery estate is a place you can just walk into? Suppressing my anger, I carefully handed him the marriage contract. Sir, this is my grandfather's last wish. Could you please inform them I'm here? He didn't even glance at it. He just tore the contract, which my grandfather had written by hand, into pieces. You must have a death wish, bringing something from a dead man to the Montgomery family. Staring at the scattered scraps of paper, I slowly pulled my phone from my pocket. Sir, the wedding is off. Can I hold a funeral instead? Chapter 1. My CO on the other end of the line immediately sensed something was wrong. Sincere, what's the situation over there? I glanced at the security guard, my voice devoid of any emotion. They destroyed my grandfather's marriage contract. My CO knew my temper well and realized this wouldn't end peacefully. He warned me at once, Sincere. You need to calm down. This is home, not the battlefield. If you take a life, not even I can protect you. His voice on the phone was urgent, but I was unmoved. Don't worry, sir. This is a personal matter. I won't drag the unit into it. If it comes to it, I'll trade my life for his. Bullshit, he roared back. You listen to me no matter what happens. The nation will never forget your service. I looked down at the peace medal on my chest, fighting back tears. Sir, if I can't even protect my own family, how can I defend our country on the battlefield? There was a pause on the other end, followed by the sound of a fist slamming on a desk. Damn it all, I'm with you on this one. Do whatever you have to do. If things go sideways, I've got your back. Hearing those words, I couldn't help but choke up. Don't worry, sir. I just want to give my grandfather a proper, honorable funeral, that's all. My CO spent a long time calming me down, and my rage gradually subsided. If the other party had shown even a shred of remorse, I might have considered letting it go. But some guard dogs just don't know when they're out of their league. What are you looking at? Keep staring and I'll gouge your eyes out, the guard threatened again, seeing that I wasn't leaving. I froze on the spot. Are all doormen for the rich this aggressive? My gaze locked onto him, my tone turning colder. My friend, I suggest you get your master out here. Otherwise, the consequences will be severe. My warning, far from reining him in, only made him more arrogant. Well, listen to you. Such big words for such a little man. Open your damn eyes and look around. This is the capital, Montgomery territory. You think you can touch me? Try it. He grew more agitated as he spoke, spittle flying from his mouth. I'd spent years on overseas missions with very little time back home. I had no idea how to deal with a low-life thug like this. His insolent attitude sent my anger soaring, a mere businessman daring to act like royalty. Pathetic. My words caused a stir among the onlookers. Damn, this kid's got balls. He's disrespecting the Montgomery family, the richest in the city. He's asking to die. This is the Montgomery estate. Even city officials need an appointment to get in. What makes him think he can just walk in? No kidding. Even the security guards here are hand-picked. I heard they make twice what a senior civil servant does. As the murmuring grew louder, the guard's expression became increasingly smug. You hear that? A worthless piece of trash like you with no power and no connections wants to see Miss Montgomery? Keep dreaming. I ignored their taunts. In fact, I almost wanted to laugh. A dog should know its place. Money can't solve everything in this world. Before I lose my temper, I suggest you open that gate. Or else my ass. Before I could finish, the guard rolled up his sleeves and lunged at me. What's this? I call you a dog, and you actually try to bite? The guard threw several punches, none of which even touched my clothes. He became infuriated. "You little bastard, I'm going to kill you today." I didn't fight back against his provocations, merely dodging his attacks. It wasn't that I was afraid of him. It was because I had spent too long on the battlefield. I either don't strike, or I strike to kill. Killing a guard dog was hardly worth jeopardizing my mission. Seeing that I refused to fight back, the guard thought I was a pushover and charged at me again. Just in the nick of time, a sharp voice roared from behind me. "Stop, Chapter 2. A tall young woman, flanked by a group of bodyguards, strode quickly toward me. "Wayne, you're the captain of security for my family. How can you just start a brawl in public? So you're Victoria Montgomery, the woman my grandfather arranged for me to marry." I studied the woman before me. I had to admit, my grandfather had good taste. She was nearly 5'7", and the crimson dress she wore perfectly hugged her flawless figure. If I had to find a flaw, it would only be the icy coldness in her eyes as she looked at me. "Miss Montgomery, I suggest you get the full story, or else what?" Victoria interrupted impatiently, raising a hand. "Where did this nobody crawl out from, daring to tell me what to do?" For a moment, I thought I had misheard. The master and the servant have the same rotten attitude? "Miss Montgomery, I hope you understand one thing. That marriage contract also had your father's signature on it. Did you think I actually want to marry you?" At my words, Victoria's expression changed instantly. "You pathetic loser, don't play these reverse psychology games with me. Do you have any idea how many men in this city are dying to marry into the Montgomery family?" I fought to control my anger and waved a dismissive hand at her. "Miss Montgomery, I don't care what other people think. To me, marrying a spoiled, ill-mannered brat like you would be worse than dying on the battlefield. As for this Montgomery family you're so proud of," I couldn't care less. The moment I finished speaking, the scene erupted. "My God, this kid is insane. He's confronting Miss Montgomery to her face? Does he have a death wish? Seriously, Miss Montgomery is a goddess to every man in the capital, and this idiot doesn't appreciate his good fortune. If it were me, I wouldn't care if I was marrying in. As long as I could get into the Montgomery family, I'd be set for life." The crowd's doubt rained down on me, but I didn't care at all. In the capital, the Montgomery family was indeed considered high society, with business interests spanning the nation. But what good was all that money? Without people like us defending the nation, it would all just end up in someone else's pocket eventually. I still remembered that massive rescue operation from 5 years ago. From receiving the order to successfully rescuing the hostages, my tactical team took less than an hour. On the flight home, the little girl from back then had clung to my hand, refusing to let go. Because my identity had to be kept secret, it was only after Mr. Montgomery insisted on taking my grandfather's phone number that she finally agreed to go home. Victoria probably had no idea that the man who had saved her life was standing right in front of her. "You little bastard, take a good look in the mirror. Do you think you're worthy of Miss Montgomery?" the guard sneered. Victoria immediately chimed in. "Exactly. If my father wasn't forcing me to marry you, I wouldn't even spare a glance for a worthless freeloader like you then." Her tone shifted, and a cold smile appeared on her face. "Now that the contract is destroyed, our engagement is officially over." I narrowed my eyes, staring at her intently. "Since you've made it so clear, Miss Montgomery, I won't insist. However, you still have to answer for destroying my grandfather's last possession. I had wanted to be a gentleman, to give both sides a way out. But this self-important heiress in front of me wasn't listening. She even seemed to think I was deliberately making things difficult. Answer for what? It was just a piece of paper. What kind of answer do you need? I looked her straight in the eye and said, "Word by word. Since you don't think it's important, then don't blame me for using other means." Just as I turned to leave, the guard shouted after me, "Hey punk, you stop right there. You think the Montgomery estate is a place you can just come and go as you please?" I paused for a few seconds, then slowly turned my head. "What's this? Are you going to invite me to stay for dinner, Captain?" He gave me a sinister smile and whispered something in Victoria's ear. The next second, the daughter of the capital's richest man erupted in fury. "You pathetic loser, how dare you ruin my reputation?" Chapter 3. From the guard's expression, I could guess he was twisting the truth, turning black into white. Given Victoria's attitude toward me, I knew explaining would be pointless, so I didn't waste my breath. "So, how do you two want to settle this?" Wayne Miller swaggered up to me. "Weren't you acting tough just now, kid? Why are you backing down?" I smirked and pointed to the security camera above us. "Don't forget the cameras, Captain. Every word you've said has been recorded." Wayne scoffed at my words. "Kid, do you know where you are? It's just a security camera. Believe it or not, I can have that footage erased with one phone call." With that, he pulled out his phone right in front of me. "Hello, this is Captain Miller from the Montgomery estate. Erase the footage from the front gate." After hanging up, he raised an eyebrow at me mockingly. "I told you to leave, but you had to be a hard ass. Now you can't leave even if you want to. Sucks, doesn't it? From now on, keep your eyes open in the Capitol. The Montgomery estate isn't for just anyone. Got it? I've had a stubborn streak since I was a child. Otherwise, I never would have made it into a top-secret unit." Faced with the guard's taunts, I just smiled faintly and ignored him. "Don't you play deaf with me, you bastard. Say something. Weren't you so high and mighty a minute ago?" My gaze grew sharp, my eyes fixed on him. "Wayne, you're really asking for it. Do you have any idea who I am?" Hearing this, the guard raised an eyebrow and burst out laughing. "Who are you? Aren't you just some delusional social climber, a pathetic loser dreaming of marrying into wealth?" Marrying into wealth, a social climber. I never thought those two phrases would ever be used to describe me. Ignorance isn't terrifying. What's terrifying is when someone doesn't realize the catastrophic trouble they're in. "Wayne, you don't really think that just because you have the Montgomerys behind you, I can't touch you, do you?" With that, I pointed toward the grand courtyard mansion ahead. "Believe it or not, with one phone call, I can have this entire estate razed to the ground." My declaration sent a shockwave through the crowd. "This kid must be insane. Mr. Montgomery's acquisition of this mansion was specially approved by the higher-ups. Who would dare touch it?" Well, today we've seen it all. Someone actually daring to challenge the Montgomery family on their own turf in the Capitol. He's just humiliating himself. I know, right? I don't know what Mr. Montgomery was thinking. There are so many talented young men in the Capitol. Why did he pick this guy? I turned to face the crowd, a slight smile on my lips. "Ladies and gentlemen, I may not have the most pleasant personality, but I never lie. Today, not only will I walk through that gate with my head held high, but I will also hold my grandfather's funeral right here." In the Montgomery Estate, Chapter 4, hearing my words, the guard let out a dismissive scoff. "Ha, big talk is cheap. Why don't you try taking a step and let's see what happens? If you dare take one more step forward, I swear I'll break your legs in less than an hour." I had been threatened twice by the same person. This was something I couldn't have imagined even in my wildest dreams since joining the top-secret unit. Done with the pointless chatter, I took out my phone again right in front of the guard. "Hello, sir, it's Sincere Knight. I need a favor." The voice on the other end immediately turned serious. "What are you up to now, you punk?" I glanced at the man opposite me and said coldly, "Can you send my grandfather's coffin over?" On the other end, my CO pondered for a few seconds, then let out a soft sigh. "All right, just this once. Don't make a habit of it." At this point, my anger had reached its peak. "Don't worry, sir, I know my limits. I won't put you in a difficult position." My CO knew my temperament and didn't waste any more words. "Report your position. I'll handle the rest." Just as I was about to speak, the guard snatched the phone from my hand. "Hey, you're this kid's so-called leader, right? Let me give you a little warning. The Montgomery estate isn't a place just anyone can enter. Even high-ranking city officials need an appointment." My CO was probably stunned. In all his years, no one had ever dared to speak to him like that. He was silent for a few seconds. "I heard from Sincere that you're the one who tore up the marriage contract and threatened to break his legs." The guard, still oblivious to who he had offended, maintained his smug attitude. "Yeah, that was me. What are you going to do about it?" Even through the phone, I could feel my CO's rage. "Since you admit it, that makes things much simpler. Pack your bags. You're going to prison." The guard was taken aback by the CO's explosive temper and immediately shot back. "You old bastard, stop acting tough over the phone if you've got the guts. Come to the Montgomery estate and arrest me yourself." Hanging up, the guard looked at me with a triumphant smirk, as if showing off. Seeing this unfold, I couldn't hold it in any longer and burst out laughing. "Miss Montgomery, I have to say, your guard dog is certainly brave. He even dares to curse out my commanding officer." Victoria seemed completely unconcerned by my well-intentioned warning. I don't care about your damn Q. This is the capital. I'd like to see who dares arrest one of my family's people today." I quirked my lips into a slight smile. "Oh, right. I almost forgot to tell you something. I'm the Special Forces operative who rescued you 5 years ago." Call sign Knight. Just as my words fell, someone in the crowd shouted, "Look over there." "What is that?" Everyone turned to look across the street. A convoy of a dozen black Audi A6s with official red license plates was escorting a mahogany coffin, heading straight for us in a grand procession. Chapter 5. Seeing this, the guard glanced at me, his face turning pale. "Gentlemen, what an honor. If you'd given me a heads up, I could have informed Mr. Montgomery." As soon as he finished, a distinguished middle-aged man stepped out of a car. "We're here for a funeral. No need to report." His words made every head in the crowd turn to me. Wayne Miller stared at me, his face a mask of disbelief. With a cold smile, I slowly stepped forward. "I'm sorry to trouble you gentlemen so late at night." The middle-aged man glanced at me discreetly, then firmly gripped my hands, as expected of a peace medal recipient. "It's an honor, Mr. Knight." Seeing this, the guard couldn't help but ask, Gentlemen, are you sure you have the right person? This guy's just an out-of-towner. How could he command such a scene?" The middle-aged man, Director Evans, whipped his head around, his expression grave. "You're the head of security for the Montgomery estate, Wayne Miller, correct?" Wayne subconsciously nodded. "Then there's no mistake. Besides attending the funeral today, we have another mission from our superiors." He paused, his eyes suddenly turning sharp as steel. To make an arrest at these words, Wayne's body jolted and his face went white as a sheet. "Yes, sir, for the sake of the Montgomery family, could you perhaps give me a hint as to who we're dealing with?" "Sorry, that's classified." Director Evans' reply was curt and final. After this exchange, cold sweat beaded on Wayne's forehead. Seeing her own guard being put in his place, Victoria Montgomery felt her family's honor was on the line and quickly stepped forward. "Sir, I am Victoria Montgomery, daughter of Harrison Montgomery, chairman of the Montgomery Group. I believe I have the right to know who he is." Director Evans sighed softly, a troubled look on his face. "Miss Montgomery, I advise you not to get involved in this. Otherwise, your entire family could be implicated." His statement caused an uproar. What? Did I hear that right? He's not even giving face to Miss Montgomery? To summon such high-level figures with just one phone call. There are very few people in this country with that kind of power, right? I knew this kid had some serious backing. Now this is getting interesting. As the chatter grew, Victoria's face became paler. I calmly walked up to her and spoke with a cold smile. "So, Miss Montgomery, may I come in now?" Victoria froze for a few seconds, stammering before she finally spoke. "Well, the marriage contract is already destroyed. What's the point of coming in now?" I curled my lip into a smirk and shook my head. "It seems you still don't understand, Miss Montgomery. As I said before, if the wedding is off, I can always hold a funeral." Chapter 6. I turned my head to look at the head of security, who is still lost in his own world. "Wayne, weren't you just so sure that it didn't matter who showed up? Destroying my grandfather's last wish, publicly threatening a peace medal recipient. Do you really think the Montgomery family will still protect you?" The moment I finished, someone in the crowd gasped. What did I hear that right? This kid looks so young, but he has a peace medal. No wonder he was so calm facing the Montgomery family. He's backed by the entire nation. Wayne's eyes went dim, and he stammered, "How could this be? I thought it was just an ordinary marriage contract." I shot him a sidelong glance. "You regret it now, don't you, Wayne?" Did you think my out-of-town accent meant you could just push me around? The guard was speechless, forced to turn to the heiress beside him for help. Miss Montgomery, I've guarded your family's gate for so many years. You can't just abandon me. I watched the sweat-drenched guard with a faint smile. Don't waste your breath, Wayne. Your Miss Montgomery can't even save herself. How is she going to save you? At my words, Victoria's face darkened. Your name is Knight, right? Don't push it, don't you forget. This is the capital, so what if you saved my life once? That was your job. Oh? So from the sound of it, Miss Montgomery, you think your family runs this city? With that, I pulled out my phone and held it up. How about I personally call your father and ask him who's really in charge here? Without giving Victoria time to react, I dialed Harrison Montgomery's number in front of everyone. It only rang a few times before he picked up. Ah, Mr. Knight, his voice boomed cheerfully. You must have met my daughter by now. Are you pleased with her? I gave Victoria a meaningful look and said slowly, Harrison Montgomery, I only have one question for you. Has life been too comfortable for the Montgomery family lately? Before he could process what was happening, I adopted the same threatening tone his guard had used with my CO. Get back to the estate in 10 minutes or I won't mind finding a new richest man for this city on the other end. Harrison Montgomery was silent for a moment, followed by the sound of a glass shattering on the floor. Mr. Knight, please calm down. I'm on my way back now. The conversation was loud enough for everyone to hear, and the crowd was in an uproar. Damn, this kid is audacious. He doesn't even respect the chairman of the Montgomery Group. Everyone who's anyone in the capital owes Mr. Montgomery a favor. Even with a peace medal, he shouldn't be going head-to-head with the Montgomery family like this. As the current representative of the Montgomery family, Victoria was fuming. Knight, I don't care what your background is. The Montgomery family will not let you go. I raised an eyebrow and waved a dismissive hand at her. You have that backward, Miss Montgomery. The question isn't whether your family will let me go, but whether I will let you go with that. I gestured grandly to the men behind me. Bring in the coffin. Let's get started without my command. I'd like to see who dares to move, Victoria shrieked. At her command, a dozen well-trained bodyguards swarmed out, surrounding me. Stop this at once, just in the nick of time, an urgent voice called out from a distance. In the blink of an eye, a man of impressive stature ran up to me, panting heavily. Mr. Knight, I am so sorry. You must have been terribly alarmed. Chapter 7. Seeing the scene before him, the capital's richest man instantly understood what had happened. He completely ignored Victoria, ran straight to me and gave me a deep bow. It's all my fault for not raising my daughter properly. Please, Mr. Knight, calm your anger. I quickly helped him up, a faint smile on my lips. Mr. Montgomery, there's no need for such formalities. Half an hour ago, I just called off the engagement with your daughter. From now on, we go our separate ways. My connection to the Montgomery family is over. Harrison Montgomery opened his mouth to say something more, but seeing my cold expression, he channeled all his fury onto his daughter. With a loud smack, 5 red fingerprints appeared on Victoria's cheek. You fool, do you have any idea what you've done? Victoria was clearly stunned by the slap, looking at her father in utter confusion. Dad, why did you hit me? He just saved my life once. We can just give him more money. Why do I have to marry him? Hearing Victoria's words, I didn't get angry. Instead, the smile on my face widened. Let's put the marriage aside. Today, I'm just here to get justice for my grandfather. Victoria erupted in fury, apparently having already forgotten the slap from her father. Knight, I'm warning you. Stop putting on an act. It was just a marriage contract. Why make such a big deal out of it? Just a marriage contract, was it? That was the only memento my grandfather had left in this world. Harrison Montgomery, the only one present who knew the full truth, was sweating profusely. Victoria, shut your mouth. I don't care what your reasons are. Apologize to Mr. Knight right now if you keep up. This nonsense, I swear I will disown you. Harrison's words were powerful and clear, reaching the ears of everyone present. The guard, who had been so arrogant just moments before, was completely bewildered. He couldn't figure out why, At my young age, I had earned such high regard from Harrison Montgomery. No, it wasn't just regard, it was reverence. Mr. Montgomery, this kid is clearly looking down on your family. Miss Montgomery was just trying to defend your family's honor. Why are you so angry? Even if he has some connections, this is still the capital. It's not like he can turn the city upside down, can he? The onlookers nodded in agreement with the security captain's words. Only Harrison Montgomery thought differently. To outsiders, it might seem like he was getting old and couldn't grasp the current situation. But only I knew he had only one goal in doing this: to win back my favor and make a last-ditch effort to save the Montgomery family. I found an excellent vantage point and slowly sat down, temporarily leaving the scene in the hands of the capital's richest man. And Harrison Montgomery's performance did not disappoint. To please me, he pointed at the guard in front of everyone, and disregarding his own image, began to curse him out. "You're Wayne Miller, right? In my capacity as the head of the Montgomery family, I am officially informing you that you are fired." His words were the last straw that broke Wayne's spirit. Just as the scene reached a stalemate, the clueless Victoria stood up again. "Dad, why are you firing our own people? Wasn't he right? Yes, this kid saved my life once, but does that mean I have to marry him because of it?" Victoria kept trying to explain herself to her father, but never once mentioned the fact that she had destroyed my marriage contract. Seeing this, the last shred of goodwill I had for the Montgomery family vanished. "Enough, Victoria Montgomery, I should never have saved you." Chapter 8. Harrison Montgomery broke out in a cold sweat and quickly covered his daughter's mouth. "Mr. Knight, why don't you name your price?" I tugged at the corner of my mouth in a wry smile. "Name my price, Mr. Montgomery? Are you trying to solve this with money? To be honest with you, I've met plenty of tough characters overseas, but I've never seen an heiress as arrogant and unreasonable as your daughter. If it were an ordinary person here today, would they just have to suffer her abuse?" Harrison Montgomery trembled, not daring to meet my gaze. "Mr. Knight, we were in the wrong today. I'm willing to compensate you, just name it and I won't haggle." I give you my word, Victoria had never seen her father so humble. To save face in front of the crowd, she jumped in first. "Dad, our family has been in the capital for so many years. We know some powerful people. How can you bow down to someone so easily?" I met her gaze, a hint of amusement in my tone. "So, you want to compare connections, Miss Montgomery?" Although I hadn't been in the country much these past few years, I had met my share of hidden tycoons. But in terms of wealth or power, the Montgomery family didn't even rank among the people I knew. "Knight, I'm warning you. I'm not as easily fooled as my father. If you really have some power, then show it. Let's see how you bring down the Montgomery family." I glanced at my watch and let out a cold laugh. "Confidence is a good thing, Miss Montgomery, but blind confidence is your mistake. Since you want to witness the downfall of the Montgomery Group firsthand, I'll grant your wish the moment I finished." Harrison Montgomery's face changed drastically. Before he could speak, I raised my hand to stop him. "Mr. Montgomery, you heard what your daughter said, right? If I don't respond today, people will think someone from my top-secret unit is a pushover." As soon as I finished speaking, Victoria's phone rang. She glanced at me furtively, hesitated for a few seconds, and finally answered. "What did you say?" "Say that again." Victoria stared at me with wide, disbelieving eyes. "What? There's a problem with the group's financial statements? They've been frozen indefinitely? And the investigation team is directly from the cabinet?" After confirming the details with her legal team, Victoria was completely stunned. "Knight, don't tell me." "This was all you." Victoria's expression told me that even after hearing the news of her company's collapse with her own ears, she still couldn't believe I was capable of it. This time, however, I didn't even need to speak. Harrison Montgomery, who had been holding it in for so long, could no longer contain himself and roared, "Victoria, how did I raise such an idiot? Aren't you satisfied with the trouble you've caused? Do you have to drag the entire family down with you before you stop?" Harrison slapped his thigh, looking utterly disappointed. "My dear girl, don't you understand even now why I insisted you marry Mr. Knight? It's not because he saved you. It's because with Mr. Knight in the family, our business could reach new heights. He is the only living recipient of the Peace Medal in this country. Do you have any idea what that honor represents? Harrison grew more emotional as he spoke, until he was stomping his feet in frustration. I wasn't being arrogant, but if I had been a little more ruthless, the entire Montgomery family would have vanished from the capital. After Harrison's heartfelt persuasion, Victoria finally came to her senses. Dad, you mean his background is so powerful that even our family can't afford to offend him? At that moment, the way everyone looked at me had changed completely. It was now filled with fear, especially the security captain, who was hiding in the crowd, trembling and not daring to meet my eyes. You should be glad, Miss Montgomery, that you didn't do anything more to cross the line. Otherwise, your fate would be far worse than Wayne's. Chapter 9. Victoria's face was streaked with tears, her voice choked with sobs. Mr. Knight, I know I was wrong. It was my fault for being blind and underestimating your power. How about this? We can go to the courthouse tomorrow and get the license. We can just pretend the whole thing about calling off the engagement was a joke. I curled my lip into a smirk. A joke? A destroyed contract leads to a destroyed dynasty. Surely you understand that principle, Miss Montgomery? My words hit her like a thunderclap, leaving her speechless. Seeing the current state of the Montgomery Group, Chairman Harrison Montgomery could only sigh quietly on the side. The scene was terrifyingly quiet. Everyone was curious about how I would deal with the Montgomery family next. After a long pause, I turned to the dejected Harrison Montgomery and sighed softly. Mr. Montgomery, for my grandfather's sake, I can consider letting your family off the hook. But I have one condition. Hearing my words, Harrison's eyes suddenly lit up. Mr. Knight, please tell me, what is the condition? As long as you're willing to spare the Montgomery family, I'll do whatever you ask. I pointed a finger at the tear-stained face of Victoria and gave a mysterious smile. First, my grandfather's funeral must be personally handled by her without delay. Second, I don't want to see this woman in the capital ever again. The moment I finished, Victoria's expression changed instantly. Knight, what do you mean by that? Are you telling my father to disown me and kick me out of the family? I spread my hands, looking at her with a half-smile. Miss Montgomery, weren't you just begging me to spare your family? Now I've given you a solution, and you're not happy? It's so hard to be the good guy. I paused, pointing to the scattered pieces of paper on the ground. I gave you a chance before. You didn't take it. You have no one to blame but yourself. I said that last part intentionally for Harrison Montgomery's benefit. It clarified my stance while also leaving a way out for the Montgomery family. After a moment's hesitation, Harrison nodded at me firmly. Mr. Knight, we will do as you say. After the funeral, I will hold a press conference as the head of the Montgomery family, and I will publicly announce that I am severing all father-daughter ties with this woman. Victoria wanted to make one last struggle, but no matter what she said now, it was too late to change anything. As for the instigator of the whole incident, the security captain was secretly sent to prison that very night. Just for the crime of insulting my CO on the phone, he would likely not see freedom for the rest of his life. The Montgomery estate, which was never open to the public, invited the elites from all walks of life in the city to give my grandfather a grand send-off. The funeral lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. Victoria was busy from start to finish, not daring to show a hint of neglect. On the night before my leave ended, I bought a bottle of my grandfather's favorite liquor and sat before the memorial altar. 1 glass for me, 1 for him, until the sun came up. End of story.